The gunshot echoed like a death knell through the abandoned warehouse, and Lena Mercer knew this was how she would die. Blood pooled beneath her, warm and sticky, as her vision blurred at the edges. The syndicate had won. Her partner had sold her out. With her last ounce of strength, she closed her eyes, only to snap them open seconds later as strong arms lifted her from the cold concrete. A stranger's face hovered above hers, his voice cutting through the haze of pain. "Hold on. I've got you." But as his grip tightened around her, one chilling thought cut through the darkness. Why would a man she'd never met risk everything to save her? And more terrifying still, what did he want in return? "Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land." Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the sleepy town of Briarwood, where the scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the crisp autumn air. The cobblestone streets were just beginning to stir as shopkeepers rolled out their awnings and children scampered to school. Near the town square, a young woman with fiery red hair and a determined glint in her eye leaned against the wooden counter of her modest apothecary, watching the world wake up. "Another day, another copper," muttered Alara, wiping her hands on her apron. The shelves behind her were lined with jars of herbs, potions, and oddities that most townsfolk eyed with suspicion. The door creaked open, and a burly man with a thick beard stomped in, his boots leaving muddy prints on her freshly swept floor. "Alara, you got anything for a splitting headache? Had a bit too much ale last night," he groaned, rubbing his temples. She smirked, reaching for a small vial. "Ah, Garrick, when will you learn? This'll cost you 2 silvers. 2 silvers? That's robbery," he protested, though he had already fumbled for his coin purse. "Take it or leave it, unless you'd rather spend the day hugging the privy," she said, shaking the vial teasingly. Garrick grumbled but handed over the coins. "You're a menace, you know that?" Alara winked. "And yet, here you are." As Garrick left, muttering under his breath, the bell above the door chimed again. This time, a cloaked figure slipped inside, their face hidden in shadow. Alara's playful demeanor vanished, replaced by cautious curiosity. "You're not from around here," she said, her fingers subtly brushing against a hidden dagger beneath the counter. The stranger lowered their hood, revealing piercing blue eyes and a scar running down their cheek. "I need your help," they said, voice low and urgent. Alara crossed her arms. "Help doesn't come free. What's the trouble?" The stranger glanced over their shoulder before leaning in. "Not here. Meet me at the old mill at dusk. And come alone." Before Alara could respond, the stranger vanished as quickly as they'd appeared, leaving only a chill in the air. She stared at the door, her mind racing. "Well, that's not ominous at all," she muttered sarcastically. Her raven, perched on a nearby shelf, let out a croak. "Trouble, trouble," it squawked. Alara sighed. "Thanks for the insight, Nero." As the day wore on, Alara couldn't shake the stranger's words. Briarwood was supposed to be boring. That's why she'd chosen it. No dragons, no dark wizards, just simple folk with simple problems. But something told her that was about to change. When dusk painted the sky in shades of violet, Alara found herself standing outside the abandoned mill, her breath visible in the cool air. The wind whispered through the broken windows, and the creaking of old wood sent a shiver down her spine. "All right, mystery person," she called, hand resting on her dagger. "I'm here. Start talking." The shadows shifted, and the stranger stepped forward, holding out a tattered map. "This was my brother's. He disappeared searching for what's marked here. I think you're the only one who can finish what he started." Alara unfolded the map, her eyes widening at the sigil in the corner, a symbol she hadn't seen in years. Her stomach twisted. "Where did he get this?" The stranger's gaze was steady. "From the same place you got your scars." A long silence stretched between them. Finally, Alara rolled up the map and tucked it into her coat. "You've got my attention, but this is going to cost you." The stranger nodded. Name your price. Alara's grin was sharp. Oh, we'll figure that out later. First, tell me everything you know. And just like that, the quiet life she'd built began to unravel. Chapter 2. Lena's eyelids fluttered open, her vision swimming in and out of focus. The sharp scent of antiseptic stung her nose, and the steady beep of a heart monitor echoed in her ears. White ceiling, sterile air, too quiet to be a hospital. She tried to sit up, but a jolt of pain shot through her ribs, forcing a gasp from her lips. A hand pressed gently against her shoulder, holding her down. Easy, you're not healed yet. She turned her head, slowly, carefully, and there he was, the man from the warehouse. Up close, he was even more striking. Sharp jawline, stubble shadowing his cheeks, and those piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. He wore a black tactical shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal scars and faded ink. A soldier, or something like that. Where am I? Lena demanded, her voice hoarse. Safe, he said simply, leaning back in his chair. For now. She narrowed her eyes. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. Lena exhaled sharply, wincing as the movement tugged at her stitches. You still haven't told me who you are. A smirk tugged at his lips. Call me Cole. Cole what? Just Cole. She scoffed. Real names too dangerous to share? Something like that. His gaze flicked to her bandaged side. You lost a lot of blood. Another inch to the left, and that bullet would have hit something vital. Lucky me, she muttered. Then, sharper. Why did you save me? Cole's expression darkened. He stood, pacing to the small window overlooking a city skyline Lena didn't recognize. Because you weren't supposed to be there, Lena. That warehouse was a setup. Her pulse spiked. How do you know my name? I know a lot of things. He turned back to her, arms crossed, including the fact that someone wanted you dead tonight. A chill slithered down her spine. Who? That's what we're going to find out. She studied him, the tension in his shoulders, the way his fingers tapped restlessly against his arm. He wasn't just some random mercenary. He knew things. Too many things. You're not just a good Samaritan, she said slowly. You were there for a reason. Cole held her gaze. And so were you. Silence stretched between them. Lena's mind raced. If the warehouse was a setup, then her intel had been compromised. Or worse, deliberately falsified. My partner, she said suddenly. Marcus. He gave me the coordinates. Cole's jaw tightened. Then he's either incompetent or involved. Lena's stomach twisted. Marcus had been with her for years. Trusted. A friend. No, she whispered. People betray each other for less. Cole's voice was grim. Money, power, survival. She clenched her fists, ignoring the pain. I need proof. Then get up. He tossed her a duffel bag. Inside, fresh clothes, a holster, a burner phone. We move in 20. Lena arched a brow. You're awfully confident I'll just follow you. Cole paused at the door, glancing back with a smirk. You want answers? I'm the only one who has them. She glared at his retreating, arrogant bastard. But he wasn't wrong. With a groan, she swung her legs over the edge of the bed. Every muscle screamed in protest, but she gritted her teeth. If Marcus had betrayed her, well, she'd make sure he regretted it. Chapter 3. The forest was alive with the sounds of rustling leaves and distant howls as Alara and the stranger, now introduced as Kale, picked their way through the undergrowth. The map led them deeper into the Blackthorn Woods, a place even seasoned hunters avoided. Moonlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting eerie shadows that seemed to twist and writhe. You sure this is the right way? Alara muttered, swatting away a persistent moth. Because if we're lost, I'm billing you extra. Kale didn't look back. We're not lost. The ruins should be just beyond that ridge. Oh, fantastic. Creepy ruins in the middle of nowhere. Exactly where I wanted to spend my evening, she said dryly. Nero, circling above, let out a mocking caw. Quiet, you, Alara shot back. You're not the one walking through spiderwebs. Kale suddenly stopped, holding up a hand. Do you hear that? Alara tensed, listening. At first, there was nothing. Then a low, rhythmic thumping, like distant drums. That's not ominous at all, she whispered. Before Kale could respond, a twig snapped behind them. They spun around just as three figures emerged from the shadows, their faces obscured by tattered hoods. The largest one stepped forward, a jagged dagger glinting in his hand. Well, look what we've got here, he sneered. Lost travelers, ripe for the picking. Alara sighed dramatically. Bandits? Really? Do we look like we're carrying sacks of gold? The bandit leader grinned. We'll find out soon enough. Kale's hand drifted toward his sword, but Alara shook her head subtly. Instead, she flashed the bandits a sweet smile. Tell you what, how about we make this interesting? You let us pass, and I won't turn you into toads. The bandits burst into laughter. Oh, I like this one, the leader chuckled. Maybe we'll keep her around for... Alara flicked her wrist, and a cloud of sparkling dust erupted from her palm. The bandits coughed, their laughter turning to wheezes as their skin prickled with green spots. What did you do? One croaked, his voice already hoarse. Alara dusted off her hands. Told you. Kale raised an eyebrow. Toads? She shrugged. Close enough. Now, can we go before they start hopping after us? They hurried onward, the bandits' curses fading behind them. As they crested the ridge, the ruins came into view. An ancient, crumbling fortress half swallowed by vines. The drumming was louder now, echoing from within. Kale's expression darkened. They're already here. Who's already here? Alara demanded. Before he could answer, a guttural roar split the night. Something massive and furred lunged from the ruins, its yellowed fangs bared. Alara barely had time to yelp before Kale shoved her aside, drawing his sword in one fluid motion. Stay behind me, he barked. Alara scrambled to her feet, her dagger ready. Oh, sure, because that's going so well for you. The beast, some twisted hybrid of wolf and nightmare, snarled, saliva dripping from its jaws. Kale swung, but the creature dodged, its claws raking his arm. He hissed in pain but held his ground. Alara muttered a curse and reached into her pouch, flinging a handful of glowing powder at the beast. It yelped as the substance sizzled against its fur, recoiling with a whimper. Nice trick, Kale panted. She smirked. I've got more. The creature hesitated, then turned tail and fled into the darkness. Silence fell, broken only by their ragged breaths. Kale wiped his brow, wincing at the blood on his sleeve. Alara rummaged in her bag and tossed him a small vial. Drink that, unless you'd rather bleed all over the place. He caught it with a grudging nod. Thanks. She crossed her arms. Now about those drums, and the monster, and the they you mentioned. Start talking or I walk. Kale sighed, his shoulders sagging. The Crimson Hand, a cult searching for the same relic as us. And if they get to it first. Alara's stomach dropped. Let me guess. World-ending catastrophe. Something like that. She groaned. Why is it always world-ending catastrophes? Nero landed on her shoulder, nibbling her ear as if in agreement. Kale gave her a tired smile. Still in. Alara rolled her eyes. Unfortunately, but you're buying drinks after this. He chuckled. Deal. Together, they turned toward the ruins, the drums growing louder with every step. Whatever waited inside, one thing was certain. Their quiet night was long gone. Chapter. For the safe house was a crumbling brownstone on the outskirts of the city, its windows boarded up, its front door hanging slightly off its hinges. Lena crouched behind a rusted fire escape, her breath fogging in the cold night air. Beside her, Cole adjusted his earpiece, his eyes scanning the darkened street. You sure this is the place? Lena whispered, her fingers brushing against the grip of her pistol. Cole didn't look at her. Intel doesn't lie. Marcus is here. Intel also said that warehouse was clean. She shot back. Look how that turned out. A muscle in Cole's jaw twitched. You want to walk away? Now's your chance. Lena's grip tightened. Not a chance. She moved first, slipping through the broken gate with practiced silence. The front door groaned as she pushed it open, the scent of mildew and stale cigarettes hitting her like a wall. Inside, the house was a mess. Overturned furniture, empty liquor bottles, and the faint glow of a laptop screen from the next room. Cole stepped in behind her, his boots barely making a sound. "Stay sharp," he murmured.
No kidding, Lena Mater.
They cleared the first floor room by room, and their movements synchronized without needing words. The tension between them was thick, but there was something else, too, an unspoken understanding. They were both hunters, and tonight they had the same prey. The glow from the laptop led them to a back room. Lena pressed herself against the wall beside the door, counting down silently with her fingers. 3, 2, 1. She kicked the door open, gun raised. Marcus sat at a rickety desk, his back to them, shoulders hunched. He didn't turn around. "Miss me," Lena said, her voice colder than she'd intended. He froze. Then slowly he turned. His face was haggard, with dark circles under his eyes, his usual cocky grin nowhere in sight. "Lena, you're alive?" Disappointed. She took a step forward, her finger resting on the trigger. Marcus swallowed hard, his hands raised. I thought they killed you. They tried," she spat. "Thanks to you." His face twisted. "It wasn't like that. They threatened my family, Lena, my sister. I had no choice." Cole let out a dark chuckle. "There's always a choice." Marcus's gaze flicked to him, then back to Lena. "Who the hell is this guy?" "The one who pulled me out of that warehouse after you left me to die," Lena said. Marcus flinched. I didn't know they'd..." A floorboard creaked behind them. Lena's instincts screamed a second too late. "Actually," a smooth voice drawled from the shadows. "He was just the bait." She whirled, just as the muzzle of a gun pressed against the back of her head. The syndicate's enforcer stepped into the light, his smirk razor-sharp. And behind him, Cole stood perfectly still, his gun now pointed at her. Lena's blood turned to ice. "Cole?" His expression was unreadable. "Sorry, Lena. Business is business." The enforcer laughed. "You really thought some stranger would risk his life for you? He's one of us." Betrayal. Again. But Lena had survived worse. Her fingers twitched toward the knife strapped to her thigh. "You shouldn't have turned your back on me," she whispered. Then she moved. Chapter 5. The air inside the ancient temple was thick with the scent of damp stone and something far worse, burnt flesh and old blood. Alara wrinkled her nose as she stepped over a pile of charred bones, the remnants of some poor soul who hadn't been as lucky as they were. The flickering torchlight cast long, wavering shadows against the walls, making the carved faces of long-forgotten gods seem to leer at them. "Cheery place," she muttered, nudging a broken skull with her boot. "Wonder if they do guided tours." Kale, his arm now bandaged but still stiff, shot her a look. "Focus. The relic's close. I can feel it." "Oh, can you?" Alara arched an eyebrow. "And here I thought you were just following the trail of corpses like the rest of us." A low, echoing laugh rolled through the chamber, sending a shiver down Alara's spine. Nero flapped his wings nervously, his claws digging into her shoulder. "Show yourself," Kale barked, his sword raised. From the darkness, a figure emerged, tall, draped in crimson robes, his face hidden behind a gilded mask. "Ah, the stubborn ones," the man purred, his voice slick as oil. "I was beginning to think you'd never make it." Alara's fingers twitched toward her dagger. "Sorry to disappoint. We took a detour, had to deal with some overgrown flea bags." The masked man tilted his head. "My pets were merely a test. You passed. Now, hand over the map." Kale's grip tightened on his sword. "Not a chance." The man sighed, as if dealing with unruly children. "Must we do this the hard way?" He snapped his fingers, and half a dozen cultists materialized from the shadows, their blades glinting. Alara let out a long breath. You know, I really hate cultists. Kale smirked. Same. The fight erupted in a blur of steel and shouted spells. Alara ducked under a swinging axe, driving her dagger into a cultist's thigh. He howled, collapsing as she yanked the blade free. Nice move, Kale called, parrying a strike before disarming his opponent with a sharp twist of his wrist. Alara grinned. You're not so bad yourself, for a guy who still fights like he's in a royal guard. Kale's eyes flashed. Less talking, more stabbing. She rolled her eyes but obliged, flinging a vial at the nearest cultist. It shattered at his feet, releasing a cloud of noxious green smoke. The man gagged, clawing at his throat before crumpling to the ground. The masked leader watched impassively before raising his hands. The air crackled with dark energy, and the torches flared violently. Oh, wonderful, Alara groaned. He's a mage. Kale grabbed her arm, dragging her behind a crumbling pillar just as a bolt of crimson lightning seared past them. The stone shattered, raining debris. Any bright ideas? He hissed. Alara peeked around the pillar, her mind racing. Distract him. I've got something special in my bag. Kale didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, his sword clashing against another cultist's as he worked his way toward the leader. The masked mage chuckled. Brave, but bravery won't save you. Alara, meanwhile, rummaged frantically in her pouch. Come on, aha! Her fingers closed around a small, pulsating orb. She took a deep breath, then stepped out. Hey, ugly! She shouted. Catch! She hurled the orb. The mage caught it instinctively, then screamed as it erupted in a burst of blinding light. He staggered, his mask cracking as he clawed at his face. Kale didn't waste the opening. He drove his sword through the man's chest, twisting sharply. The mage gasped, then collapsed, his robes pooling around him like blood. Silence fell. The remaining cultists faltered, then fled into the shadows. Alara exhaled shakily. Well, that was something. Kale wiped his blade clean, his breath heavy. You're full of surprises. She smirked. Stick around. You haven't seen half of it. Nero cawed triumphantly, fluttering down to peck at the fallen mage's mask. Kale nudged the body aside with his boot, revealing a hidden stairwell beneath. This is it. The relic's down there. Alara eyed the darkness warily. Of course it is, because nothing bad ever happens in creepy underground tunnels. Kale offered her a tired grin. After you, she groaned but stepped forward. If I die, I'm haunting you first. Together, they descended, the weight of what lay ahead pressing down on them. The relic was close, but so was the endgame. And whatever waited in the depths, one thing was certain. The real fight was just beginning. Chapter 6. The world erupted into chaos the moment Lena moved. Her blade flashed silver as it found the enforcer's throat before he could even blink. His smirk still frozen in place as his body crumpled to the ground. Blood sprayed across the peeling wallpaper as she pivoted, her other hand already drawing her pistol. Cole lunged at her, but she was faster, dodging left and sweeping his legs out from under him with a brutal kick. He hit the floor hard, the impact knocking his gun skittering across the hardwood. You son of a bitch! Lena snarled, pressing her boot against his wounded shoulder. He groaned through clenched teeth as fresh blood seeped through his shirt. Marcus scrambled backward, knocking over the desk in his panic. His hands fumbled for something in his waistband. Don't! Lena shouted, but he did. The gunshot was deafening in the confined space. For one terrible second, Lena thought she'd been hit. Then Marcus staggered, his eyes wide with shock as a dark stain spread across his chest. He collapsed against the wall, sliding down to sit in a grotesque parody of relaxation. Silence, then Cole's ragged breathing. Lena kept her gun trained on him as she stepped over the enforcer's body. Who sent you? She demanded, her voice low and dangerous. Cole coughed, blood flecking his lips as he grinned up at her. You'll find out soon enough. She pressed the barrel against his forehead. Try now. His laughter turned into a wet cough. "You won't kill me. Try me." Her finger tightened on the trigger. "Because," he gasped for breath, "I'm the only one who knows about Director Vance." The name hit her like a physical blow. Her grip faltered for just a second, long enough for Cole to knock her arm aside and roll away, clutching his bleeding shoulder. "That's right," he wheezed, propping himself against the wall. "He's alive, and he's been pulling your strings this whole time." Lena's mind reeled. Director Vance, her mentor, her handler, had supposedly died in an explosion 2 years ago. She'd watched the body bag get zipped up herself. "Bullshit," she spat, but her voice lacked conviction. Cole wiped blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. "Check your pocket." Against every instinct, Lena reached into her jacket. Her fingers closed around a small data chip she didn't remember putting there. "When hospital," Cole interrupted. "While you were out, didn't trust you'd listen if I just told you." Lena stared at the chip, then back at Cole's pale face. The pieces were falling into place with terrifying clarity. The setup at the warehouse, Marcus's betrayal, the way the syndicate had known her every move. "Vance is working with them," she whispered. Cole's head lolled back against the wall, his breathing shallow. "Not with them, leading them." Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had heard the gunshots. Lena made a decision. She holstered her weapon and grabbed Cole's arm, hauling him to his feet. He groaned in protest but didn't resist as she dragged him toward the back exit. "What are you doing?" he gasped. "Saving your sorry ass," Lena growled. "Because you're going to take me to Vance." And then she kicked open the back door, the cold night air hitting them like a slap. "Then I'm going to finish what someone should have done years ago." Chapter 7. The final chamber yawned before them. A cavernous maw of black stone lit only by the eerie glow of the relic hovering at its center. It pulsed like a living heart, casting jagged shadows that twisted up the walls, shadows that seemed to move on their own. Alara's breath fogged in the sudden chill, her fingers tightening around her dagger. "Well," she muttered, "that's not ominous at all." Kale stepped forward, his sword gleaming in the unnatural light. "We need to destroy it before." A thunderous crack cut him off as the ground trembled. The relic's glow intensified, and from the darkness behind it, a figure emerged, tall, skeletal, its hollow eyes burning with violet fire. The air itself seemed to recoil from its presence. "Ah," Alara said weakly, "that would be the before you were talking about." The creature's voice slithered into their minds, oily and cold. "You are too late. The awakening has begun." Kale didn't hesitate. He charged, his blade arcing toward the relic. The creature moved faster, a clawed hand swiping him aside like a ragdoll. Kale hit the wall with a grunt, sliding to the ground. Alara cursed, lobbing a vial at the creature. It shattered against its ribs, but the flames barely licked its bones before flickering out. The thing turned its gaze on her, and for the first time in years, real fear coiled in her gut. "Okay," she breathed. "New plan." Kale staggered to his feet, blood trickling from his lip. "Distract it. I'll smash the relic." "Distract it? With what?" "My sparkling personality." He shot her a look. "You're good at improvising." The creature lunged. Alara rolled aside, barely avoiding its claws. Nero dive-bombed from above, raking his talons across its skull. The creature snarled, swatting at the bird. "Now, Kale!" He sprinted for the relic, but the creature whirled, a blast of dark energy hurling him back. Alara's heart lurched. Desperation clawed at her. Then she remembered the last vial in her pouch, the one she'd sworn never to use. "Sorry, Master Orin," she whispered, uncorking it. The liquid inside writhed, hungry and alive. She hurled it at the creature's feet. The second the glass shattered, inky tendrils erupted, snaking up its bones like chains. The creature roared, thrashing as the shadows pinned it in place. Kale didn't waste a second. He brought his sword down on the relic with a shout. The sound was deafening. A scream of shattered magic, a light so bright it burned. Then silence. The creature's bones clattered to the ground, lifeless. The relic shards dissolved into dust. The oppressive weight in the air lifted, leaving only the quiet drip of distant water. Alara sank to her knees, her hands shaking. We actually did it? Kale limped over, offering her a hand. His grin was tired but triumphant. Told you we would. She let him pull her up, then immediately punched his arm. Next time you play bait. He laughed, wincing. Deal. Nero fluttered down to perch on Alara's shoulder, nibbling her ear affectionately. She scratched his feathers, exhaling. So, drinks. Kale slung an arm around her shoulders. Drinks. As they stumbled out of the ruins, dawn was breaking over Briarwood, painting the sky in gold and pink. The town was safe. The world, for now, was saved. And somewhere in the shadows, a single shard of the relic glinted, forgotten. But that, Alara thought as she leaned into Kale's side, was a problem for another day. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.